Hi, this is Islanders. I haven't actually done my stream in a little while because I've been working so hard on the next thing that Undead Labs is coming out with. But today I had to come in here because I've been playing Islanders pretty much incessantly for this past couple of weeks. Anytime I get some free time, I'm sitting down and playing Islanders. It's great because it's a puzzle game. It's fairly straightforward, and it uses a part of your brain that isn't narratively engaged. Like, it's all about spatial relationships, and so I'm able to do things like listen to YouTube videos and podcasts and things like that while I'm playing this game, and so it feels like a very efficient use of my time. But there's also just some really great basic pleasure that you can get from the kinds of solutions that you find in this. So let me just show you how this game works. So I've already played one round of this, and I got through the initial island. So I've just graduated to, I believe this is probably my second island. Each of these islands, I believe, is procedurally generated. They're either they're procedurally generated or there's a lot of them, because I feel like I keep running into completely different scenarios each time. So this plus here means that I can add some items to my list. Let me move my face so you can see what pops up in the UI. Let me start with lumberjacks. Okay, so I've been given some buildings. Some lumberjacks, which like being near sawmills, statues, and trees, and a sawmill, which likes being near lumberjacks and warehouses. I don't have any warehouses. So this game is about grabbing little city buildings and finding the place to place them where you will get the biggest score. But you don't just have to think about what the biggest score is I can get from this one building. You also have to get familiar with the array of buildings that you're eventually going to get and plan ahead so that you're leaving room for the ones that are more difficult to score. So right now up front, it seems like a pretty straightforward decision to just stick this lumberjack right here. But it's actually a complex decision because I know here's my gold mine. I know that in the future I'm going to want to build out the rich area of my town around here, and I don't want to take up too much space with lumberjacks. But these initial ones probably won't cost me too much, so I'll stick this lumberjack right there. I will stick a sawmill near this lumberjack, but in a place where I can reach it with other productive lumberjacks, like maybe right there. So it gets a few points. And then I'll stick one right here. Notice if I get this lumberjack too close to the other lumberjack, its value goes down. I gotta find a place to stick it so that it can maximize its value. So stick that one there. And you'll notice my points are rushing into this little circle. And every time I finish up this circle, I unlock more buildings. And so this time, let's grab the brick industry. So this map is actually gonna be a challenge for the brick industry because these little sand pits, they can only go where sand is. And that can be, there's only a little bit of sand on this map. So I figured I'm actually kind of thinking of mostly just trying to get the brick industry out of the way because it's not going to be that interesting. Notice the only sand I have forces me to stick these sand pits too close to each other. So let me stick my brickyard here, which, it gets a nice benefit from being near the sand pits. And there's also other buildings in the future that get benefits from being near the brickyard, so I'm gonna put it up here where I'm likely to put it near other buildings. And then I'll place my last sand pit right here where it can reach the brickyard, and that can kind of, the 3 points it's getting from the brickyard kind of helps to counteract the negatives it's getting from being near other sand pits. At the same time, so each time you unlock new buildings, you also still get a few doses of your older buildings at the same time. Like, okay, so I don't want to place a sawmill right here because it's too close to the other sawmill. But I would like it to be near 2 lumberjacks. So if I can place a second lumberjack in a position where, like right here, for instance, a lot of points for this lumberjack, and it creates a position where I can put a sawmill near 2 other lumberjacks. But I really hope I don't get a ton more lumberjacks because I actually want to build up a bunch of city stuff around here, and they just don't like being near lumberjacks all that much. Okay, let's move into city building. So I want to place my city center somewhere. So individual city buildings don't get a lot of points from by themselves, and so you need to place them near things to make those kinds of buildings happy. And the city center is your kind of first initial building that's good at that. So what I'm imagining is I'm going to want to have mansions up here where the gold mine is. But I'm also going to want to be able to support poorer houses, which will want to be down here where I'm going to be placing my my breweries. So I'm going to stick this right on the edge of this cliff. Then I'll put the mansions on this side of it. You can kind of rotate them around to fit them in all pleasingly. Oh! I just barely can't fit that in that hole. That makes me sad. And then I'll put this guy. The rich houses, they have a lot of high scoring potential near certain buildings, but they also have very tiny bubbles. They have to be right next door to stuff. Rich people don't want to walk very far. The poorer houses have a more forgiving radius, and so I can put them in complicated terrain like going down cliffs. So I'll put that guy there. Got another lumberjack. This is making me very sad. You know, I'm going to ignore this lumberjack for now and see what more stuff I can get. Okay, let's do the brewery so that I can sort of reserve its space. The breweries are good around. There's a late game item called an oasis that they're good for, and the oasis has to be isolated from everything else. But these are also good for being near the poor part of town. And so once you've played the game a few times, you start thinking, okay, I need to have my rich part of town over here, then my poor part of town, then my hops fields and breweries, then my oasis. And as you get familiar with all these different all the different elements of the game, that you start strategizing that way. So I'm going to stick this here, and then the fields I'm going to put nearby. Got another brick place. I think, yeah, I'll stick that down here. And a couple of houses. Okay, so the mason, so you can sort of look at the preview here. You can say, okay, it likes being near brickyards, and I've got some of those, so I could probably get some quick cheap points that way. I also happen to know that a lot of the late game buildings like being near masons. It looks like I only got one. Well, it's not the late game yet, so I think I'll probably put this in the cheap, quick scoring area over here, near the two brick buildings. But later on, I'll probably want to prepare a place for my temple or for my market that have a lot of masons nearby, if I can get them. Let's keep building this out. So notice, on its own, this building only gives me 1 point, and if I place a bunch of isolated buildings, I'm not going to fill up this score ring fast enough. I'm going to have to quit the game. I'm going to have to, my game will be over. And so each time I'm placing one of these buildings, I have to make sure I'm getting enough points that I can continue playing. So sometimes I want to just put them in the highest possible scoring area, like right there. Other times I'll want to put them in positions where they're sort of leaving space intentionally for investments I want to make later on. Yeah, so like right there, that wasn't a great placement because there's so many tight little crevices I can't use now. Space ends up being really, really valuable later on in the game. So generally, it's a good idea. So I always have this temptation to want to finish placing all of my items on the ground before I hit the plus button. That's actually not good strategy. You want to hit the plus button whenever you can so you can find out what's coming. Oh, the shaman. Houses love being near the shaman, as do a few other types of buildings. But the shaman doesn't like being near the city center, so I need to place my shaman. He also likes being near flowers. Okay, so there's a lot of flowers around here, and I guess, yeah, so I can get a huge boon from having him right there. But I'll also get a lot of long-term stuff if I keep him near the near these buildings. Because each new house that I place in this area, I'm going to keep placing houses in this area, they all get increased points from being near a shaman. Luckily, this isn't the last shaman I'm likely to have, so let me go for the cheap points first. Wait, no, I can do the cheap points anytime. Let me not go for the cheap points first. Let me go for decent points right here, but in a place where the houses will get the benefit of this guy. So now, you'll notice, eventually, as I move houses close to this guy, they'll get much better score from being near him. So I'll put that right there. Add some more mansions. you'll notice that the score of that one mansion, it was only 4. Like I actually, this was kind of a badly placed mansion. Eventually, I'll have to get far away from the city center, but it would have been better for me to wait to place that until I had something high scoring nearby. Like right now, I can't get anything close enough to the city center to get the benefit of being nearby, so I should stop placing these until I have something else to increase my score. It won't be either of these, but I can start setting up farms. So the windmill likes being near the statue, and he likes being near the city center. I can't quite get him close to both, though, unfortunately. Oh, yeah. Oh, I just barely can. So this will be the ideal place to stick this guy later on, or if I ever get another city center closer, maybe up here. But before I place him, I like to usually put down some farms so that he can get a bunch of extra points for being near farms. So I'm going to place that farm and then just hold on to the windmill for a little bit. Yeah, so the overall goal of this game is basically to try to make your city as big as you possibly can before you're forced to move on. And so round by round, you're just trying to get as many points as you can out of each round of placement so that you can fill this ring and unlock more buildings. Because eventually, I'm going to fail to fill this ring. I'm not going to get any more buildings, and I'm going to have to move on. Now, if I manage to fill up this meter over here for the next island before I run out of placeable items, then I can, if I fill it up, then I can move on to the next island, and my game keeps going, my score keeps accumulating. But if I haven't filled this up when I run out of placeable items, then my game is over, my score is banked, and I need to start over at the smallest island. All right, so I talked about wanting this mason for future fancy buildings. So I'm betting I'll end up placing my temple somewhere in this area. Because I think I'll put my oasis here, I think I'll put my temple here, probably, and my temple and my market. Either one could go here, one could go there. I think maybe my market goes on this side, my temple goes on this side. I'm not sure. Let's stick this guy right here. Hey there, Cloudcraft. Yes, I am back. I've spent a few weeks being so completely absorbed in work that I have not been able to justify spending any time streaming during the day. But we've hit the point at work now where I've got some bugs on my current thing that I'm working on, but it's not filling up my day the same way it used to be, which gives me a little bit of room to mess around. Cloudcraft, I know you're a fan of this game, and I'm sure you're going to be horrified by all of my decisions, because that is our traditional relationship on this stream. It looks like I'm already kind of in a bad way right now, because I don't have a lot of great places to stick these mansions, and they're kind of my best option. I don't like wasting my mill when I haven't placed a lot of farms yet. See, how good can I get this lumberjack situation? This guy, there's a lot of lumberjacks near these trees already, and so it's hard to get a lot of points out of this one. 9 or 10 might be my best option. Cloudcraft, this is my second island in this game, but far from my first round. Oh, here we go. Okay, I can get like 13. That gets me pretty close to filling the ring, so I'm going to place that one right there. And now I can just place a couple more mansions, get the ring filled, and hopefully I can get something like fountains now. Yes, fountains. Okay, so the downside of there's a lot of waste in placing these mansions where their score isn't very productive, but when you have a big cluster of mansions, you can have a very productive fountain. And so hopefully, the cost that I paid in having to waste some of those low-scoring mansions is that I get to have a 34 from this fountain. And then all the later mansions that I place in this area get the benefit of having the fountain nearby. Not that much of a benefit compared to, say, a city center, but it's something. Yeah, Cloudcraft, there's no way I will ever make you happy with my placement in a game like this. So I think you should take a deep breath and deal with the fact that it's just not going to be as good. Though I'm happy to hear your feedback. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's unwelcome. I'm just saying there's no way I'm ever going to do something like this well enough to satisfy you. And I understand how you feel, because I watch my 8-year-old daughter loves to play this game, and her placements are absolutely indefensible. But that's just how it goes. Oh, did I plow under some flowers around here? I think I might have, because I thought that I had this higher scoring before. Oh well, let's put that guy down anyway. Yeah, Cloudcraft. A lot of my, I have been using the mouse over tooltips to figure out where I want to place things historically, and I've kind of gotten into some habits now where I don't really look at it directly because I remember where I like to place things. That has generally worked out for me well in the past. Like 11 here and 4 here. So maybe I'll save this fisherman until I've placed some huts or something. Okay, so I've got some more fields. Okay, that barely fits there. I usually pile up a bunch of fields before I place a windmill. Yes, Cloudcraft, I do have the latest update where you get seaweed farms and stuff. I don't know if I have it on this machine, though, actually. I've been playing with them at home, but I just realized I didn't actually get an update when I started the game just now. So it may be that I don't have seaweed farms right here. So I'm actually curious, Cloudcraft, about your placement decisions. I generally get frustrated with lumberyards because lumberyards, they can really be great in the early game at taking advantage of trees, but then they become clutter really fast. Like, there's not a lot of use for them late in the game, and they annoy a lot of the things I want to place late in the game. I almost want to just eschew them entirely sometimes because they my final experience with them usually ends up being more negative than positive. Okay, I'm glad that you're on board with lumberyards being the worst. The other thing that, like, I think there's kind of a balance issue later on in the game because there are these people who haven't played the game might be interested. There's these platforms you can get to extend your land area, and the platforms themselves are valuable buildings, but then you can also build on top of them, which is really cool. The problem is late in the game I end up getting a lot of platforms and not a lot of buildings to put on the platform. So usually most of my late game islands end up being just full of empty space that they can't use, like elaborately propped up platforms that don't have any buildings on them. And I'm hoping that at some point they look into that and see if they can, because part of this is part of this game. It's about the puzzle of how to make the scoring work, but it's also about the aesthetics, right? Like, a lot of times I will absolutely give up a high score on something in order to do it in an aesthetically pleasing way. And having the final aesthetic undermined by having just too much unjustified platform space kind of feels a little bad at the end. Cloudcraft says, sometimes I have that issue, but often it's because you didn't plan well enough. Oh, well, okay, fine. It looks like this is actually going to be, I'm going to barely make it to the next island, which is good, but yeah, I'm not super pleased with how well this particular one has gone. But I have found that, like, there's nothing. Okay, so this windmill is actually going to do okay. That's good. Like, later on in the game, I don't get as many. Like there's so many buildings I've unlocked. I feel like I'm not getting as many city buildings late in the game as I get early on in the game, and that's kind of what I want, is a lot of city buildings to kind of fill in some of that space. All right, so huts or parks? Let's go parks. Okay, so I've got another mason, so I'll put this here in case I ever actually do get to put a market or a temple anywhere nearby. Yeah, Cloudcraft, I'm hoping that pool is weighted, because it's the weighting that seems like it feels a little off to me late in the game. If it's weighted, then that's good, because then it's the issue that I'm seeing is totally addressable. All right. So that looks like a good place to put that park. You can also put parks near things like this. Isn't this music just relaxing? Six. Not a lot of great options up here. One thing that's interesting, I like that they have these two different styles of buildings. You got the mansions that like being near other mansions, and the poorer houses that like being near other poorer houses, and if you mix them up, they don't like it at all. So like you end up sort of with a weirdly kind of stratified class system in your city, which, you know, makes it feel true to life. It looks like I'm about to run out here, but that's fine. I've unlocked the next island, so I'll be okay. Yeah, let's just place these things and get out of here. All right, so that is my first island. Well, I guess it's technically the second. I think I played one island before this. So that is a completed island right there. This is everything I can place. I didn't fill up the rings, so I can't get any further. But, you know, it's kind of pretty, right? So now I click this button, and we move on to the next island. So I start with a fresh landscape now, building from the ground up. And but my score is still where it was. And so I still kind of have to build up from scratch, but I get to build on top of my score, so the more successive islands I can complete, the higher my final, like, high score is. Let's see here. Okay, so the mill isn't going to be that useful. I'm pretty sure I can't place farms in the snow. So the mill is just going to be by itself. I don't even know. Would they just give me a bunch of mills? I don't even know what they do if I pick the mill in a snowy place this early. Let's find out, actually. Yep, I just get 1,000,000 mills. Well, the mills like being near statues, and so I guess they also, you can't place a mill on rock, which kind of surprises me. That doesn't seem very well justified in the putative fiction, but whatever. Got that out of the way. Okay, so bunch of random windmills. Let's see what else we can do. The thing that's interesting about this game is the marketing for this game is fascinating because they know that their game looks like a city builder. And so when you look at like screenshots, you're like, ooh, what an interesting looking city builder. And it is not a city builder. And so they like go to strenuous pains in their trailer to inform you that this game is not a city builder. And you should not assume that that's what you're gonna get. So similar to the windmills, the only features that I have for my masons to react to is basically this one statue here. So I'm going to try to place every single one of them within striking distance of the statue so I can maximize my points. And eventually I'll unlock something that benefits from the masons and the mills. There we go. Oh crap, there's another. Oh, I forgot I had more. Well, they just won't be as good. They'll have to be over in places like this. Okay, so I should start planning ahead here. I mean, Cloudcraft will be like, why haven't you been planning ahead the entire time? So my rich area of town, I want to be over here because I always want it to be near the gold mine because that's how I can make the jewelers be very valuable. The stair-steppy area might be able to work for the poorer side of town. And so it's the stuff that I put near the rich areas that benefits the most from having masons. And so I'm going to stick these masons over here, have them around. Oh yeah, Cloudcraft points out a thing that I said earlier on, which is placing everything before hitting the plus. That's a bad habit that I have because I just get really into placing a certain collection of things, and so my brain just wants to complete the job that I'm on. But it's actually smarter to click the plus whenever you get the chance to click the plus, because you might, finding out what you're unlocking next is sometimes incredibly valuable. Now these snowy maps don't give you a lot of the early industrial stuff really, really benefits from having grass. Like I'm sitting here unlocking farms like crazy, farmy type things, and none of them, like, I should be getting fields with these things, and I'm not because there's no grass to put the fields on. So I'm just trying to get as much as I can out of each of these items. Okay, so I got a plus. Let's start building an actual city. All right, so got my city center. Since I only have the one city center, and I don't know if I'll get another, I should put it on the boundary between where I want to have my richer and my poorer parts of town. So I'll stick that guy there. Put a rich thing here. Put a poorer thing here. And then I've got a plus. Okay, shaman. That'll help with the growth of the cities. Oh, good. I've got 2 of them. So there's no flowers for my shaman to like. But if I put them roughly near where I'm trying to build my city, my houses can get benefits from being near the shaman. So similarly, like over there. And also my temple likes being near a shaman. So I could put one over here to be... I'll save it for a later shaman. Let's put a shaman here where it doesn't want to be near the city center, but I'll put it where where these guys can grow towards it. And then my breweries, can I place them in an awkward place over here? They won't really. Sometimes oh right, it can't be on rock. So I want to have at least one brewery near to my poorer houses so that I can set up a tavern for them. It's also good to have breweries. I think they like to be near. I think markets like to be near breweries. They like to be near anything productive. And these guys like to be near statues because everything likes to be near statues. So I'll place that one right there because I think I'll probably have a market around over here somewhere near all of this industrial stuff. Cloudcraft, yeah, I was not thinking about Masons giving bonuses to city centers when I placed the Masons. I was thinking of the Masons more as a long-term future thing for when I'm placing things like temples. But you're right, that city centers do also get a benefit from those. Also, Masons get a bonus from city centers. And if I were to place a future city center, it probably would be maybe up here in this area, or maybe down here. Yeah. This one fits. Let's just stick that right there. All right. I mean, lumberjacks are the worst. I'm not going to get a lot out of fishermen either. Let's do fishermen. You get 1 fisherman, so you either get 11 over here or 6 over here. Seems like 11's the better choice. Let's get bare minimum coverage so that I can put more fishermen in later. And then... Oh, I forgot. Does... These guys... Okay, they don't care about being close to Masons, do they? Alright, well then I don't care about Mason placement. They love being near each other, though. Rich people like to gather together. So do poor people, I guess. Oh, so the poor people get a benefit from the Masons. Oh, I had forgotten that. So the poor people get a benefit from the Masons, but the rich people don't. That's interesting. So Cloudcraft says that houses, which is what I've been calling the poor people houses, he says there's some of the last things he places because they get so many bonuses. Oh, that's an interesting way to think about it. I usually just think of them as like, oh, this is just part of my baseline city building is all of these little houses. But no, that makes a lot of sense. Now that I'm recognizing that they all get benefits from Masons, it does make me want to put Masons along their path of growth. I've got another brewery to place. Let's see if I can get it. Can I fit it on the other side of the statue? Probably. So fountains, I said, like to be near the poor houses and the rich houses. Like being near the rich houses more, though. And the rich houses like being near them. See, this is the best placement for the fountain to get a lot of points. It's not necessarily the best place for other buildings to get points from the fountain. So I might want to sacrifice that plus... That's a big difference, though. That +7 that I get from sticking it here versus here where I can put more buildings around it in the future. Like how much of... So this one, it's 2 points per placement near a fountain. I don't know if mansions get more than that. But if it's 2 points for placement, that means that I would need to justify putting it here instead of here, That's 7. So I would need to have 4 additional buildings placeable around this, and I don't think that difference is huge. So I'm going to place that there. I've got another city center. It likes being near Masons. Doesn't love being near Shaman. So that seems like a possibly useful place. But I think is that even better? What was the number over here again? Yeah, it's even better over here. And this is kind of the direction I've been thinking of expanding some of my more expensive parts of the city. So I think I'm going to stick that there. What else do I have? Huts. Let's do huts. Huts like being near fishermen and seaweed farms. Don't have a lot of those. They also like city centers, statues, shaman. And they don't like masons. They don't like industry of any kind. So they've got a lot of high-scoring things and a couple of inconvenient low-scoring things in this area. I think that might be the best spot for them, though. Nice thing about huts is they're very tiny, so you can cram them into places other things won't fit. Like there's almost nothing else I could put in this spot anyway, so I might as well put a little row of huts here, getting 18 points from each one of them. Huts also don't get in each other's way, which is nice. Okay, Cloudcraft. I'll finally do my stupid lumberjacks. The thing is, there are late game items that don't like lumberjacks, and I have trouble remembering which ones they are. And so when I'm doing my early planning, I always, sometimes I'll put lumberjacks in places where they end up being very convenient later on, but I can never remember exactly what parts of the game they inconvenience. And so it makes me paranoid about using them when I don't know what's going on. But yeah, this does look like a good spot to stick a lumberjack. And maybe this late in the game. So another reason so placing lumberjacks early in the game is good because you haven't chopped down as many trees, but placing them early also tends to give you a lot of them because they don't have as many other buildings around that can be placed instead. So any building you unlock late, you're unlikely to see as many more of that building, but buildings you unlock early, you're going to see a ton of them. And so that's why I kind of like to delay lumberjacks. Partly it's because I'm scared of them, and partly it's because if I do them late, I'll get fewer overall, and I won't have to contend with as many on the map. All right, let's see here. I mean, at this point, why not? Okay, so fountains don't like being near other fountains, so something like that is probably about the best I can do with that guy. So it looks like, and this 14 here looks pretty good. Parks and plateaus. Plateaus are interesting. So plateaus are good places to build late game buildings. They like to be on plateaus, and the plateau can also guarantee you've got enough space for something you want to place in the future. One thing that's really annoying is if you imagine, oh, this spot right here is where I'm going to put some future building, and then you accidentally encroach on it just a little bit and make it so you can't put that building there. Saving a plateau for something is a great way to make sure that it actually is placeable. So that 26 there looks pretty good. There's also a 26 over here. I kind of like this 26 a little bit better because it's closer to the Masons. Yeah, so I'm thinking of this as my temple location. I can never quite estimate how big. The temple has a fairly small bubble, and so for something to benefit the temple, you got to get it pretty close. And I don't think I can get close enough to both of these Masons for them to both benefit the temple. In fact, by trying, I might screw them both up. Yeah, Cloudcraft is agreeing with me there. So I'm going to set it really close to one of these Masons. And figure the other one's a loss. I mean, mill, why not? Sure. Nope. Near lots of Masons is good. 14 seems like that's probably about as good as I'm going to get with this guy. I also like city centers. 15, ooh. Stick them right in the middle of everything. 20, what? Okay, I bet that 20 is about as good as I'm going to get. So let's just stick it right here up against the Mason, where realistically, I don't know how much wind it's actually getting with the mountain right at its back, but whatever. Okay, I've got another lumberjack. I'll stick that guy right there. Another hut. Anything? Okay, looks like there's 17 I can get over here. Anything better than that 17? Just kind of feeling around. I think that 17 is probably my... Oh, wait. Oh, there's a 17 right here, too. Near the other huts, which is so attractive. Let's do that. All right, the tower. So temples, I happen to know in advance, temples like being near towers. So placing a tower near where your temple is going to be is often a good strategic choice. Unless there's a big, like I could get more points by putting it here near the city. It's 27 versus 15. That's an interesting decision. 27 is definitely significantly better. And it's not that this is the last tower I'm ever going to get. So maybe I will go with the 27 and hope I get another tower to place here as a second best. I've got another city center. This doesn't want to be any of these places. Maybe I can... Oh, 27 again. That sounds pretty good. 23 down here. Let's go with this 27 up here. Oh, wait. One thing I wasn't thinking of was the oasis. I hope I just didn't screw myself out of a good oasis location. I think I can still do one over here. The oasis likes to be near parks, and it likes to be near fields and things. It does not like to be near city centers. And so I'm claiming all the territory with city centers and industrial stuff. If you spread that stuff out too much, you don't end up with room for the oasis. The oasis is actually one of my favorite parts of items in the game because it hates so many things. It makes you think ahead. It makes you think about not spreading out so much. Oh yeah, Cloudcraft points out that, so I think I'm playing an unupdated version of the game right now, but the latest version of the game, some buildings actually have more complex bubbles around them. He points out that walls have two bubbles, one on either side. So walls don't care what their ends butt up against, but they do care what their flat sides are up against. And the seaweed farms, they've got bubbles that extend out in front of them, like for instance into the ocean, rather than just being centered, which is kind of nice. It makes for more interesting placement challenges. So it looks like 7 or 8. 8's about the best I'm going to do with this guy. 6, 7. Yeah, let's go. Oh, 8. There we go. 9. Oh, 9. This guy likes being near the... Well, I kind of want to get there. All right. Warehouse. Okay, this is good. So the warehouse, I happen to know that markets, which are a very valuable late-placed item, they like to be near warehouses. So having a warehouse, but warehouses like to be near industrial stuff, which I tend not to place near my cities. So like this warehouse can do amazing work over here in this industrial area, but it'll be hard to get a market near it. But maybe, I mean, this placement might be valuable enough on its own. Yeah, so if you're thinking about warehouses and markets, you want to really be thinking about putting your industrial area where it won't be in the way of your city, but where it's close enough that you can have a warehouse straddle the space between the market, which likes being near warehouses and houses and monuments and things, and then this thing that likes to be exclusively near industrial stuff. The temple is actually one thing that complicates things because the temple really doesn't like being near industrial things, and it really doesn't like stuff like that around. But it does benefit from a lot of the same stuff the market does. So when you place a market, it wants to be in the same kinds of places as a temple, except the temple hates a lot more things than the market does, and you just end up with these almost like characterizations of these placeable items in your head, where you think of them as having personalities, what they like and what they hate. I don't know. I realize that me talking about placeable items you haven't even seen yet makes me sound like a crazy person, but that's what this game will do to you. It'll make you sort of think in new and unusual ways that make you sound like a crazy person to other people, which I think is the mark of an excellent game. Yeah, Cloudcraft, you're right that most of the things that the Oasis benefits from can't be placed in a snowy map. But at some point, it's going to make me place an Oasis anyway, so I've got to be prepared for it. So yeah, so placing all of these, like things like the tower near these houses has been really good. Like Cloudcraft's point that, you know, placing houses late is a good idea. That is a really good one because they benefit so much from all the other things you place. Like, you tend to get houses in bulk, you get a lot of them, and so instead of like one placement getting a huge amount of points for one very strategic choice, houses you end up like sort of accumulating lots of little small bonuses by putting them in clusters near things that they like. Oh, anyway, I've got a plus, I should click it. Ah, the circus! Circus likes to be near houses. So if you can get a nice big town to put the circus near, but you see here, this is where the split in your town really matters. People in mansions hate circuses more than people in houses like them. And so if your houses and your mansions are too close together, too intermingled, there's nowhere to put a circus. I usually like to save up my circuses until I've placed more houses. On this particular map, the way I've been placing things, though, there might not, like, if I place more houses around here, I might actually miss out on my chance to place this circus. I think I can fit one more in right here and get a 28 from this circus. Yes, looks like I can. So I think... Cloudcraft says that he regularly has houses hit 20 plus per house and frequently gets 30 plus. So is that just from you saving up houses and sort of planning in advance where they're going to go and remembering which placeable items give the biggest benefits to houses? Because I place them just sort of immediately. They're sort of my bread and butter, and I'm clearly not getting the kind of benefits from them that you're talking about. Okay, here's my gold mine. So first off, the gold mine itself can only, like, it's got a negative 20 naturally. It's only worthwhile if you put it near an actual gold vein. So I'll stick that there. And then the jeweler, it's like the inverse circus. The mansions love it, and the houses hate it. So I can stick it there. And that's actually pretty good because I can imagine if I get mansions over here, I could place a second jeweler over here sometime without the two getting in each other's way. Which is, it's good. Sometimes, there have been many times when I placed a jeweler in the only possible place, and then I get a second jeweler and there's no good place to stick it. And then even future placed mansions like being near the jeweler, which is nice. And I've got a second circus? What the crap am I supposed to do with a second circus, you game? I mean, I guess I just need to wait. The nearest I can place one is over here. So I guess I just gotta wait till at least I get a few houses over in that direction. Because, yeah, there's not a lot of good places I mean, if I get houses up here, maybe, that circus is gonna sit there for a while. So I think it would be nice if I can get a warehouse down here where I'm more likely to place a market, as long as I don't get it close to where I want to put my temple. So if I get it too close to the temple, it'll be a problem. I'll stick that there to anticipate future markets. Oh, there's a market. Okay, let's see what my market opportunities are here. So yeah, so this market likes the idea of being close to this town, and if I can place some more houses first before I place the market, that'll be even better. Basically, you want to usually place the things with small bubbles before you place a thing with big bubbles. Because, like, if I place the market first and then place a bunch of houses in the distance, the houses will get no benefit from the market. But if I put the houses first and then the market gets a huge benefit from the houses. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm probably going to put my market here, because that's where it's getting that, or maybe here, because that's where it's getting that 54. But then I can look where the bubble is and say, okay, well, I need to fill that space with more houses and more city centers and things like that. So let me see. Is there a place on this? I don't know if... Yes, I can put a city center right there, and it's not too bad. I can stick more houses in this area. What's the best placement for these? 7. It's not a great... I'm going to save up that fountain for later. Oh, these huts are definitely liking having more city centers nearby. And actually, if I placed a fisherman here, not only will this fisherman love having all of these city centers and huts, but now my next hut gets one more point from having that fisherman nearby. All right, let's see here. What do I want to place next? So if I can cram some more houses in here, like right there, that will help my market placement. That one guy doesn't make as much as the other people on the street. I don't think I can place stuff. Oh, 11. Sure, I'll take that. $14, yes. Okay, what else we got? Okay, here's the Oasis. So I'll show you guys what the Oasis is like. The Oasis hates the city. I will get negative 147 points if I put it in the city. It hates city centers of all kinds. It likes trees. And it likes parks, and it likes fields. Problem is, I got no fields. So basically, the best I can do with this guy right now is just keep him out of trouble. So I mostly just brought him in to show you how deadly it is everywhere else. And you can plan really good placements for this, where you can get a lot of points out of it. I have not in this particular case. So I'm just going to stick him in a place where he is out of my way, not causing problems. But that's costly to have something like that where, I spent an entire round on something that I couldn't get a lot of points out of. Though it was the only the one object, and most of the things I got that round were other things that actually are more profitable for me. Okay, like I got more mansions, which are going to make my my market better. They're going to raise my market cap, as it were. Looks like there's just barely enough space for one more up here. Cool. Oh, hey, I could kind of get one there if I want to. It'll help the market. Interesting. Getting close there. Let's spring for the... No, we don't need to spring for the market yet. Let's do one more thing. This won't be too bad. Why not? Just gets us over the line. Huh. Cloudcraft says, you're completely missing your opportunity to get plus 18 on your mansions. Which thing you're talking about? Does the market get them plus 18? Is that a thing? If that's a thing, I was not aware of it until you told me. Oh, there we go. Oh, Cloudcraft is talking about a shaman next to a fountain. That's the plus 18 that you mean? Oh, tavern. All right, so tavern is nice. It's a nice small building that loves being near a brewery and also loves being near houses and city centers. So 37 for right here, 39, 41, 43 for going right here. Oh, wait, what was that? 47. Is that the best I've had so far? 47? And then... But the mansions don't like the brewery at all. They don't like the tavern at all. 23. I think this 47 is probably the best. So I'm going to plot that down right there. Okay, yeah, so it sounds like this is where I was getting the plus 18, and Cloudcraft noticed it and I didn't. So I do tend to just want to build out my cities, from a central point, and it's hard for me to get myself to just take advantage of the best scoring when it doesn't look like it's natural and contiguous. Unfortunately, I'm starting to run out of time. I've got a meeting at 1 o'clock, and so I might not be able to take this too much further. So you can see here, trying to place another jeweler right now is just a disaster waiting to happen. I can't do it. So I got to save that one until I've got the right location. Oh, looks like I get 20 now for placing this guy here. So I think I'm going to do that, anticipating a future temple. But hopefully I've gotten across what is cool about this game and why, you can sort of imagine me sitting there for hours on my computer doing this while listening to a podcast or while watching a YouTube video, because this is really, really engaging for a certain part of my brain, but does not require any of the other parts. And so it's like the ideal game for sort of like for keeping your hands and your sort of spatial and mathematical brain engaged while you're listening to a story or listening to somebody explaining an idea, because the two don't really interfere with each other. So yeah, so it's got the sort of the physical enjoyment of like watching pieces snap together, like Tetris. Cloudcraft pointed out the comparison to Tetris, while it's also about planning ahead and feeling clever and imagining the future. And so if you can devote all of your faculties to it, you can definitely get a huge benefit from that. But it's also a really good game to just sort of keep yourself active while you're doing something else. So it's really fit into my life well, and I'm pretty happy with it. So anyway, I'd better get out of here. But thank you for joining me, and I'm happy to be getting back into streaming again. Of course, tomorrow I'll be doing the Undead Lab stream, but then hopefully I'll get back to this too.